watching and that haven't been sent my way yet, which I'm kind of a little bit upset.
Well, now you've definitely been set back. The delivery date.
I'll look on eBay then. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So December 24, the daily reflection is a sane and happy usefulness. We have come to believe he would like us to keep our heads in the clouds with him, but that our feet ought to be firmly planted on earth. That is where our fellow travelers are, and that is where our work must be done. These are the realities for us. We have found nothing incompatible between a powerful spiritual experience and a life of sane and happy usefulness. All the prayer and meditation in the world will not help me unless they are accompanied by action. Practicing the principles in all my affairs shows me the care that God takes in all parts of my life. God appears in my world where I move aside and allow him to step into it.
Yeah, but that should be, most of us, that should be an observation of the new reality. So your head is in the clouds and your feet are on the ground. We should have, I think most of us have observed that's been an effect of this way of life. Yeah. It's not an either or. See, this is how the mental state would love to have it seen. It's either you're in the clouds or you're on the ground. Which this either or is what causes spiritual seeking sometimes to be a form of addiction.
You froze there, Paul.
Silence.
I'm just going to stop his video. He's going well today. Okay. So, right. Well, that's good. This is great. I think we might start again. I think I'm going to stop. Kaiser, I want you to take over, mate. Or Mike, you take over, or anyone.
I'll take over.
Marty's dog, do you want to, will it take over? Because it's...
No, you've done enough. You've done enough. I understand. It's fine. I got you, buddy.
But thanks for all your kind.
So we're as everybody knows. Hi, Gary. Nice to see you. We've had a little bit of a trouble with two Zoom hosts, and we're kind of punting the best that we can. Paul was starting us off, and then he is now returning, and we're going to do the best that we can. So Paul is going to be well, as soon as he connects his audio, we should be good to go. Morning, Paul. You know, we were doing the just to let everybody know that are new. Good to see you, Maggie. What we were doing is we were doing reflections onto the daily reflections. Paul, take it away if you're comfortable.
Well, yeah, we just went over it, but it was muted. But yeah, so if you read that reflection, the daily reflection, it's a report from an observation of the new reality, which is the new reality is our head is in the clouds and our feet are on the ground. Yeah, now the mental condition would love to have that be a conflict. It would like to present it that it can only be you're all in the clouds or you're all on the ground, because it's not a very inclusive system. But what we've been affected by is a system that's leading more to based on centeredness, not self-centeredness. Yeah. So in centeredness, things are inclusive. Things are seen as win-wins. Yeah. There's acceptance before there's any kind of rejection or denial. There's first an acceptance of what's actually happening. And can you hear me? Yeah. So this reading to me is just talking about the new reality, which is just that. You can be quite happy and purposeful in this life and also have that sense of the presence of that power. Yeah. It's not one or the other. It's not like a sacrifice where you have to choose one way or the other. Yeah. They'll both be infused with the spirit. Yeah. So Yeah, I like that, because to me, it's not, it's a reflection, coming from observation. That's what they saw. Being under the influence of whatever you want to call it through the program of recovery, these were some of the effects that they observed, and they reflected on it, and they put it in writing so that others who are going through the process either can connect and feel that common solution, or have a hope that that's where that's where they're being led to, So, yeah. I wanted to speak today, this Paul Alcoholic. I thank everyone who got here and everyone who didn't, really. This idea, this isn't like an improvement of the steps or a new way of doing the steps. It's seeing the steps from a diagnosis of the problem. That's what it is. So we're talking about, we're basing the hub of the whole talk is from page 64. The idea of being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. We're bringing that understanding to each step, yes, and to all the suggestions, and to why all the sayings are just their sayings, a day at a time. Why is a day at a time so paramount? Because the mental illness of alcoholism dwells in yesterday and tomorrow. That's what it does. Yeah. So when we're under its influence, we're sort of not present. We are, but we're not aware or conscious of being present to what's happening. We're interpreting what's happening to what did happen and what will happen. Yeah. And it's sort of like either a slow takeover or a quick replacement of life, of a living of life and an interpretation of life. Yeah. And now we end up living an interpretation. Yeah. We're living, but we're living an interpretation. We're not living a life. We're living an interpretation of a life with an extreme bias and an extreme myopic view called self-centeredness. Yeah. And a lot of us have had enough. We tried to get out of it as it. We drank ourselves to fucking pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. We've, like the type I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. I mean, most of us have paid our dues to this failed system, and hopefully we've washed up on the shores of recovery with the understanding of the futility of any life run on self-will. Yeah, it doesn't mean any life run on your will. It's meaning any life run on self's will. Yeah, the will, if directed by the higher power, as they say in the book, can be very, very useful, as long as it aligns with the higher power instead of being aligned with the lower power called selfing, or self, let's say, call it self. Yeah. When the will is aligned with the self and it's about the self's business, that's the failed life. Yeah. Why? Because we're not a self. Yeah. So, what would happen if a gorilla lived like a gorilla? It would maybe be very fulfilling to be a gorilla. But let's say you're a spirit trying to live like a gorilla. It may not be that satisfying for the spirit. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, to me, seeing the root of the problem as a mental act of being identified as an image, pictured as a body called Paul or Kaiser, with a huge history that's it's predestined to repeat itself, basically. So we live an interpretation of life, and of course it's not enough. So we seek solutions to that irritable, restless, discontent, unhappy, unsatisfying. But what directs us is the problem that led us to those conditions of irritable, restless, disappointed, frustrated. Yeah. We attempt to give it the job to get us out of what it put us in. I mean, how can, yeah, that's shown to be fruitless. So, yeah. So I think the program of AA is the most soundest design for living I've run into. But I tell you, any design for living can always do with a big dollop of light, you know, like an increasing of light will reveal so much more as you're going through the process of recovery. Yeah. And to see your role in things, and to see God's role in things, and to see self's role in things. Yeah. And seeing God's role and self's role and your role will have some humility. Yeah. Will be based on maybe gratitude and honor for that which has done for me what I couldn't do for myself, nor could self do it for me. Yeah. But something has, and I've recognized it not as me and not as self. Yeah. And you want to call it whatever you want. I don't need to call something that's always here at all times. Why would I need to call it? You know what I mean? I don't need to whistle for everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. It just seems so obvious. Yeah. That the higher power of our own understanding, if you start getting free samples of the higher power, it leads you to have a higher power of its own understanding, obviously. Yeah. That's the whole process. The only way it seemingly can get in maybe is based on your understanding, but it doesn't stay that way. If it does, then that which is playing God is the bigger God in your pursuit of God, you know? So, yeah, it's a great reading. And I like the word, the reality now is our head is in the clouds and our feet are on the ground. As it's meant to be, I guess, yeah? It seems to feel right. Yeah? It feels like it's aligned. I have no gripes about the starting line, yeah? I feel like I've been placed on square zero, and then the game makes sense in its nonsensical fucking appearance. So, yeah. So that's the point. See, what happens if someone has a way of life that doesn't question who is it that has the way of life? Then all they do is tinker with the way of life. They try to synthesize it with other ways of life. So now you've got Kabbalah, Buddhism, fucking non-duality, everything mixed in, but they're not getting to the primary fucking diagnosis. Yeah. So then, hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, honey. My cat's not doing well. Yeah, my cat is something flipping out, the cat.
Oh, no.
All right, I'm back. See, I'm ready for the emergency at any moment. Yeah. See, if you're not so fixated on a mental condition, you can be concerned about other people's conditions. Yeah. You're available because the condition you're relying on doesn't come and go, doesn't need to be fucking defended and worked on all day. Yes? So you can be available for other situations. So, yeah, our cat is tripping out. I don't know what happened. Maybe the introduction of the puppy. I don't know, but it's fucking flipping out. So, yeah. So, yes, you want to open it up. I just want to be clear that, see, if the problem is accepted by a program that offers solutions, all those solutions will be infected with the problem. There needs to, see, and this is what goes on. We're led into all these different paths, yeah? And we become the biggest influence of the path. That's why things fail us, yeah?
Yeah, that makes quite a bit of sense. Thanks a lot, Paul. Now is the time, if you guys have a question for Paul, to raise your hand. You guys know how to do this in the participants box. I don't see any questions currently. I have somewhere to lead us unless someone else has a question.
I could ask a question, Paul.
Yeah.
Kaiser, excuse me. Kaiser, I could ask a question. Michael here. Michael, I'm a real alcoholic. Good morning, Paul. Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
And I think this kind of goes in line with what, it's kind of more like a review, to be honest with you, than a question. But at one time, you introduced the idea that when I look out of my eyes, I see a you. And when I look out, and when you look out of your eyes, you see a you. And then, but when I look out, when now that you know me, that you see a Michael, but when I turn that around, I say it's me. Could you touch on that a little bit? Because I think for me that has a lot to do with what you were talking about. And a review for me is always good. Thank you.
Well, let me see that one. That would be a meeting unto itself, Michael. Yeah, it may.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you want, call me up later. Yeah.
I will. I'll take you up on that after Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate that.
See, what's looking is us, let's say. What's saying it's looking is self. What's looking is us. What's saying it's the looker is this selfing. Yeah. What happens is it can't get rid of the looking, so it claims the looking or the seeing, and now places itself as the seer. Yes. So the attribute of real living is now claimed to be your attribute. You're the one that's doing it. You're the one that's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, thinking, smelling, everything, doing. Yes. And this is really the bondage of self. It uses life itself to bond you to an interpretation. Yes. See, it uses what's happening to bond you to an interpretation. Yeah. It's not actually, see, if you want to know the first movement of the disease of selfing, it's claiming. Yeah. So something is happening. There is breathing. There is seeing. There is feeling. There is noticing thoughts. There's all this going on. It can't erase that. What it does is it claims it. It uses the seeing to infer there's a seer. Yes? And when it infers there's a seer, it's not like you've ever been in the process of becoming the seer. You've always been the seer. So you're never noticing that there's a process of selfing. You start and look at that process of selfing from the product of it, which is a self already, a historical Michael. And so now the only option to that you already are a self is try to get out of it. And this is what most alcoholics and addicts are an example of, trying to get out of what we're not actually in. Yeah. So it's not like I've been, I'm at the 55 percentile of becoming a self, because maybe you could shut the machine off then. No, by the time we come into what's going on, it's already been put that we are one already. And so basically the only way we can see from the problem to get out of the problem is to try to get out of it but we don't realize we're trying to get out of it as the problem. Self can't get out of self. Yes? You and I can see it. We can see this activity. And hopefully, armed with an understanding, maybe we will see it as something foreign than ourselves instead of calling it us. Yeah. And just maybe then the possibility of being free from the bondage of self doesn't come through 40 years of arduous attempts to escape, but you see it as a prior condition. Yeah. So the relief doesn't become determined on your condition. You actually are determined by its condition. Yes? These are possibilities. I didn't go to another planet and fucking, do a Martian Jedi learning how to use the Force. I just went to hell, through addiction. I was struck sober. I was introduced by life to my way of life, which was recovery that night. And I just entertained what happened. That something constantly reveals to us shit. Yeah. Well, what it's revealed to me is the exact nature of the wrong. Yeah. And it made total sense when instead of looking at it as I'm at fault, it was all my defects of character that fucked everything up. I saw the source of all the disturbance was a foreign pathogen, like a parasitical movement or whatever, or a demonic possession, and that I could truly be free from it. Yeah. Because the basis is I'm not it. Yeah. Where it hides itself with a false basis that you are it. Yeah. And therefore, from there, your possibilities are quite limited. And one of them is to try to get out of self as self. And many of us have lived years of attempting to do that, and it hasn't worked. Yeah. Why? Because you can't get out of an imaginary condition. You just can't. Yeah. I can't recover from cancer that I don't have. Yes. So in this invitation, the recovery is for that which comes after. Yeah. Your innate condition is that which is before. What is before doesn't need to recover. What is after gets recovered to allow the before to become obvious. Yes? So instead of being completely obsessed with self, which is after, and that obsession seems to be quite successful at hiding what can't be hidden, what's before, but it seems like it doesn't exist. Yeah. When the huge mental intention, interest, emphasis on that which is after diminishes, the before becomes obvious. Yeah. Not to the after. It's sort of like the after is there, but a big sun shines. Yeah. Instead of a giant shadow constantly looming over you, it's light. Yeah. So obviously the light is like a healing balm, BALM, to the after. It is. Yeah. Yeah. Your faith gets shifted, and now your faith allows an ease and comfort now, instead of the faith put into self causing incredible anxiety out of what's not happening. It's the same energy. It's just what it's being put to use for. Yeah. When we surrender our will and life over to the care of that power will put it where it's meant to be. Not where it's meant to be, where it will work. So now you'll be placed in a position of neutrality. Yes. See, now people have been under this influence of recovery a long time. Yeah. They may not be writing books, but they could have daily reflections of what they've observed over 50 years. Yes. Or over 30 years. They could write a daily reflection or live one today based on their observations of the light in their lives. Yes. Mm-hmm. These things that are written are meant to trigger that in you. They're not meant to live vicariously through the freaking reflection. It's meant to bing like sonar in your own, what's there for us. Yeah. The ping hits the ping. That's why I love the big book for a lot of ways, but I've had an intimate experience of all the effects of the, active alcoholism. And I've had an intimate experience of all the descriptions of the solutions effects. Yeah. I've never read any book that's been like that. Everything it described, I have an intimacy with. Yeah. Living under the occupation of self and then living in the freedom of the bondage of self. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Does anyone have any questions? If they do, please raise their hand. How about you, Walter? Are you doing okay? Do you have any questions? If not, Paul, would you like me to generate a question that might be of interest? I don't know if it is.
Yeah, go ahead. It's all right.
Okay, yeah. One of the things was based on today's daily reflections, and they were talking about, I'm going to read this real quick. It says, all prayer and meditation in the world will not help us unless they are accompanied by action. So I'm highlighting that word action. It goes on to say, practice these principles in my affairs shows me the care that God takes in all parts of my life. God appears in my own world when I move aside and allow him to happen. The only reason why I generate that is because there's activity, there's action, there's you turning a will and a life over, and then this is talking about action. I found in my sobriety, action was important, but sometimes it seems like action is trying to have a doing and trying to do a fixing. Can you speak about action, the appropriate use of action in your opinion, or lack of action? It's curious because action's important, but sometimes I think it can be distracting. Go ahead.
Well, again, because of what comes before it. Yeah. So if the action claimed by self, it's going to be used in one way or another to reinforce the bondage of self. Yeah. They describe it in the book, I guess around page 60 something, where it says the person who's self-centered can be virtuous, kind, and shit like that, but isn't he badawa? Yes. So exactly. So this is the thing. The action doesn't make it so. It's what's before the action. Yeah. So it's tricky that way. Yes. And it says the same thing about, relying on a higher power. In the beginning of that reliance, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to think, whatever. You're going to get, your girlfriend is going to be delivered by the higher power, whatever. And she's going to look exactly the way you want her to look, not how the higher power would like her to look, or whatever, you know what I mean? So then you recognize these mistakes, and then there's correction. Yeah, this is what happens. But in action, this is something you have to really find in your own experience. It would be another long dialogue, because in other spiritual groups, they call non-actions. It doesn't mean nothing's happening. It's just an action not being used to identify the actor. Yeah. So you're doing something and there isn't a one being the doer of it being produced. Yes. Yeah. So you're doing something and there's no noticing I'm doing it. There's just doing. It's just sort of like when someone's in humility, they're not aware of being humble. Yeah. They're not thinking they're in humility. Yes. That's part of what gets lost in humility, is the one that thinks it's in humility. So actions are, of course, we have to do certain set actions in the beginning of recovery, because those actions have proven to work. Yeah. And so we call them suggestions. So you take these suggestions and you follow them, and those actions hopefully turn into habits, which are actions without thoughts. And then those habits secure a certain insurance policy for the way of life, because now you're in the habit of being sober, yeah, instead of being in the habit of being fucked up. Yeah, it's a huge difference. So those actions, after a while, like the experience of service for me, the strongest effect of anything that I did in a service, in like formal service, was hospital and institution meeting. Sometimes I'd be really up the ass of self, and I would go to my monthly meeting, and I would be extracted from the anus of self in at least 10 minutes or less. Yeah. And it would never fail. And I did them 11 or 12 years. And then in the spirit of rotation, I stopped doing them. So that was service, and it worked as a skillful means, because the habit I was in was going up the ass of self, seemingly. So I needed concrete actions, you know, in a monthly or a frequent time frame to keep, so I could have an experience of being out of self. So I could start recognizing shit that's available when you're out of self, that's not available when you're seemingly in self. Yes? So there I was. So I was doing service, and then I would feel this sense of availability. I'd be there, I felt a little bigger, and then in that availability, I'd sense a presence at the meeting. Yeah. So it happened many, many times, and this is how I saw the formula. I did the service, I had a feeling of availability, and then I sensed the presence of what we call the higher power. Then one time, something changed. When I arrived at sensing the presence of the higher power, I had a feeling that's what I am. Yeah. I am that ever-present presence. And when I had that hit, then I looked at, hey, I'm available, not by doing anything, just by that nature. Because if I'm present, which I am, I'm available, which I am. And if I'm available, I'm of service, which I am. Yeah. Quite different in a way than doing service. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really fascinating. And that happened all naturally? Were you doing a lot of, I mean, I would access that with thinking, but that just, it was a happening, huh?
Well, the point is, it's always there, available, and then one time it becomes available to you, and then you see it in a certain way. And sometimes when you see it in a certain way, that becomes the way.
Okay.
You never see it in any other way.
Okay.
And to me, yeah, that's happened quite a lot concerning the principles of recovery and things that we share here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it, and then that's how I see. Yeah. So, but if you just notice it, so being of service would be more like a new freedom and a new happiness, a new attitude and a new outlook. Yeah. That would, being of service is on that level of solution. Doing service is a process maybe to arrive at that level of solution. Does it mean you don't do formal service anymore when you arrive there? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Yeah, you'll find out what it means. It doesn't have any, carved in stone meaning. It's just find out. Find out. Are you always present? I feel you are. If you are, then you are available. No matter what the mental state is telling you, you're available. And if you're available, you're of service, just like when I saw the cat flip out there. Unfortunately, I was of service here, and then I was of service to her, so I called my girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after I'm out of this little service, I'll go tend to the cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not, if I, doesn't mean I'm not available because I'm not tending to the cat. I'm available to the meeting. Yeah. This is how it goes. Yeah. We're just swallowing so much bullshit from the mental state. It's got us thinking we're out of the moment. We got to use like fucking incredible mountaineering tools to get back in the moment. And when we're in the moment, we're not probably going to stay there long. So let's do as much as possible in the moment, do postures, everything. It's just insane. It's slavery, complete, utter slavery. We have a slavery going on, and then you can be enslaved to alcohol and then free from alcoholism and still be enslaved by self.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, yet in this world, if you don't take care of the alcoholism, you're never going to get to the exact nature of the wrong, because the exact nature of the wrong, sort of like an octopus, is sending out all this ink, all this fucking acting out that's obscuring it. Yeah. So first you got to, all right, let's deal with that. First things first, and then let's get down to the causes and conditions. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's the cause and what's the condition? The problem resides in the mind, so it gives us a little, it cuts out a lot of other possibilities. All right. So, okay, where is the activity of the problem? Is it like an innate little stone in the left sphere of the brain? No. It's how we relate to feelings, thoughts, perceptions, and shit like that. Yeah. So we get an interpretation of what's happening from the parasite.
Mm-hmm.
And we become identified or wedded with the way it sees things. Yeah. Instead of how it is, we see how it looks like to it. Yeah. You can try to rehab it and fucking do as much as you like, but hey, a parasite's not becoming a service animal. It ain't. Yeah. It's too used to having you. You're not gonna have it. Yeah. I'm just sharing how I see it. I can't, hey, if I took into a lot of other considerations like career and shit like that, I would have rather seen it in another way. Yeah. I would rather see that there's 35 levels on the staircase to heaven, and you're at the 3rd level, and if you send me enough money and you do what I say implicitly for 6 months, you'll be up to the 4th level with the fear of dropping down to the 1st at any moment, and on and on and on, But no, the fact is, you are of spirit. You're awake right now. What the hell is looking out of the eyeballs? You? No. I mean, it's obvious. Why do we think because we can't know it, it's nothing. We can't experience it or touch it, it's nothing. That's why it's everything. You are it. That's why you can't know it. You are it. That's why you can't touch it. You are it. That's why you can't have it. You are it. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. You are what you're looking for. You're it. It not as you're presented, not as you're constructed, not as you're implied, not as you're historically remembered, not as any of that, but as what you are, the living, animating quality. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for sharing a lot of that stuff. It's the encouragement for when I come up with solutions and answers that don't necessarily go with the people around me or the way I think the world is. It's been very, very, very helpful for me to get encouragement to say this is other possibilities. And
yes.
Thank you so much. It's hard to navigate this stuff. It just is. Yeah.
Well, Right. That's why they should have had a little addendum. If you can't practice these principles in all your affairs, limit them for a time. Yeah. So until you can. Yeah. And maybe there's certain deep mental grooves in the action figure that isn't going to allow that person to practice these principles in that affair. Well, there you go. There's an acceptance of that. Yeah. None of us have 360 degrees vision. We have blind spots. Yeah. The action figure is meant to. Yeah. You surrender those blind spots and they'll be put to good use. Maybe they're not meant to be changed. Yeah. Maybe they're meant to be offered up. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. We have a question from Mike Z, the guy that's behind the scenes doing all the recordings and helping us really set this all up. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. We're good. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. I just wanted to give a further shout out to the value of every activity, like, like helping the cat, including the value of every saving person in the activity. Because, like, the idea of some kind of tangible action or conventional action, as opposed to, the smallest thing, like when I used to have trouble with the idea if you see a piece of litter, you can pick it up. And I would think, like, well, what about all the rest of the litter? I can't pick it up. As opposed to appreciating now, if the thought occurs to me and the natural flow is to go ahead and pick it up, I can enjoy that without thinking more about everything else. So it's still a thought. So that's not excluded either. The importance of that, just not having to deliberate any further, to actually act on it. And that, that's what I get out of mindfulness finally, is that it's a dance. So I can enjoy, because that was the same thing too. It's like, you're supposed to be mindful doing the dishes. Does that mean I'm feeling the water? Does that mean I'm feeling the plate? Does that mean I'm thinking about the next plate? Versus now it's just a dance. I can actually have a dance energy with the action of washing the dish. And that goes to meditation too. Like that's what meditation means for me now, is like, oh shit, the feeling that I can't meditate, or, that it's not doing anything. It's not an action, as opposed to now it's an absolutely equal action that I don't have, that doesn't excuse that if I were picking up the litter, that I would just say, oh, I'm meditating, I don't have to pick up the litter, right? So it's both very hard for the mind, because there's no differences, but it's a huge privilege and appreciation to have the not differences. And that was really, so there's not action that, so far I have not become a world savior. Like, I don't know how to, help the immigrants and, stuff like that. And I would be so damned if I didn't have an appreciation now for what they meant by, mindfulness and meditation as action, So, and I don't see why that can't be available in AA, like to for those that aren't served by, by regular, traditional, conventional action. It's like you're saying you don't have to go to Buddhism, but that can be, I don't see why that couldn't be expressed in AA.
Well, it is,
But
it is.
Or it's like you, like, so yeah, expression is action. So like what you've been doing all these decades, to follow through on the expression. Yeah. So you have, although you kind of had to go out of AA, that's my point. So yeah, okay, bring it back more into AA.
Yeah, so that's exactly. Thanks, Ben. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
See, I feel obviously possibilities are pregnantly available. but then in a weird way, things occur and then you're available to the possibility. Yeah. And I feel just an understanding of what's going on lends itself to a lot of possibility. Yeah. And the possibility that will come down the pike may verify what you are taking to be a curious idea or something. Yes? And it's like a beautiful, it's sort of like something was entertained, there was a faith involved in it, and then that faith has echoed its validity through demonstration. Yeah. And more possibilities become available. Yeah. Yeah. I remember, like, I know a lot of people have this. Let's say there's something that bothers you badly, like a physical injury or something like that. Yes? Could be anything, but let's say you have a handicap or something, and then you had hope and you looked into solutions, and then you would try what they presented and it wouldn't work. Yeah. And so maybe it would last 12, 15 years, and there would be sort of the attitude and outlook around it was like disappointment and what the fuck, you know? And then one day you did the same routine, you applied what somebody may have presented as a solution to the problem, and bingo, there was a huge relief. Yeah. It's such a cool place to arrive at when something works. It's just really cool to me. And in this life, I found certain ideas and invitations to work. Yeah. To the point that they're like the last answer in time. Yeah. Which is a damn good answer. I have no need for any other answers. That's a really good answer. And some of them took longer than others. Some emotional, let's say, jaggedness that I had that seemed to have a huge effect in my relationships with others. You know, I attempted to be open to apply the surrender, whatever, a little therapy, go body work to try to get that demon out, whatever. And it seemed like nothing could do it. And yet one night the possibility became pregnant. Yeah. And something shifted. And that thing has waned over the years, not increased its amplitude, but decreased. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And I think this is what's in store for a lot of us here. When you start entertaining, when your understanding is sound, that soundness echoes through a lot of other shit. Yeah. Yeah. And to really see your role in things. Yeah. Maybe like the Course in Miracles. I don't know, many of us haven't heard of it, but it's a download that happened to some woman in the 70s, presented as the mind of Christ. But in that book, they state a fact of us, which is we are the dreaming of this dreaming, you know? Yeah. We are the ride of this ride. In this ride, there's a lot of rides in this ride, but we are the ride. We are it. Yeah. And that has just echoed through a lot of false floors and ceilings in this life, really. I mean, that thing echoed to the heavens, these statements. Yeah. And the whole little house of cards shook up and reverberated and got shifted. Yeah. A lot more windows were put in. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sure seems like it's something that needs to be figured out. But what's being suggested, if I'm not wrong, is it's something to kind of be experienced, and experience our sobriety and experience our.
Yeah, it gets in there, and then you'll see the response of the system. The reaction is almost as if a virus has been introduced. So the system wants to make it something it can understand, fucking neuter it, And in this system, like if let's say a miracle intervenes in this system's little horizontal storyline, it immediately forgets the miracle in about a half an hour, right? And then pledges allegiance. Oh, I'm fucked. It's never, yes, to the old story. You watch its reaction. When grace comes in, what is its reaction? It isn't open armed. It's to fucking defend against it. Yeah. To immediately pledge allegiance to the God of self. Watch it. Yeah. The best shit that was coming your way is seen as poison from its view. Yes? It's really like that story of the snake in the skin. It's that extreme. Yeah. You don't know we're in a condition where when you came into recovery, you didn't know what was best for you. Did you? I didn't. Most of the people I've worked with, they have been broken down to such a point they don't even know what's best for them. Not even close. You see? But the parasite knows what's best for it. That you're fucking in ignorance. That you're a closed system. Yeah? That the way you look out is more like a periscope. Completely hidden in your little atmosphere, your environment, and then this little light thing comes up and you start looking around and you look at apparent threats and shit like that, yeah? And then you suck back in and you stay in your little fucking enclosed terminal uniqueness. It's not you and I, it's a system. The system is a shell. We're like the chocolate inside, yes? So,
Thanks.
We put out an idea, and what's awesome is we've had a stable schedule twice a week for months, yeah, to put the platform in and then see what happens on top of the platform, but always the platform. Yes, let's get to the exact nature of a situation, please. And then, yeah, and then the next week, same, put what comes up. Yeah, it's been an incredible opportunity for me. It has. It's probably a wet dream I may have had I didn't remember, which is to have, let's say, an audience that kept coming back so I could actually, this thing could come in and keep impress, so until it fucking becomes like a tattoo. And then I know what it's going to do. It's going to express through you, and you're going to observe it, and you're going to see that you're traveling lighter, and you're going to have, it feels like, oh, this is true. And you know what? It's going to appear to be true to you. You're going to recognize it. Yeah. And then you'll recognize a lot of shit from it. You'll start seeing from a clear position. Yeah. And you'll know what's best for you. Yeah. To allow something to do for you what you can't do for yourself. That's what's best for you. Yeah.
Hey, Paul, do you have, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm discovering. This is, I don't want to inject myself into here too much. We do have one more question. Do you have a time for another question? How are you doing right now?
I'm fine. The cat's laying on the heater.
Okay. This question comes from Maggie. Maggie, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and you'll be off to the races.
Hey.
I can hear
Hi.
you. Go right ahead. Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, Paul. My name's Maggie. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Maggie.
I'm grateful to be sober today. And there have been 14 consecutive days.
Wow,
And
great.
I just want to express gratitude for the miracle that's happened, being in this meeting with you and all the participants. Nothing short of a drink of water for someone in the desert.
Fantastic. Great. Great.
Yeah, and I'm realizing, or there is the realization that I didn't have to go all the way to the dump. And the work that has been done and the traveling lighter that was already there is still there. And yeah, because I really made it hard on myself. And then there's room to share this other happening. The first day it was after a meeting with you, and I just said, that's it. I want to be here more than I want to be drinking, and I can't do both.
Yes.
So these are my people. These are my people more than my people. I don't know how to express the fact of the non-duality mixed in with the 12-step program and the Course of Miracles is just way too much of a coincidence, right? Or a God incidence.
Yeah.
And so I was having a hard time, with the brain wanted to, let's have a beer, and then I just said, God help me, God help me. And every day it was, God, please keep me sober. And I got my big book out and reading the big book. So I was having a tough day in my truck and I asked for help again. And this voice said, it is but the first few steps along the right way that are hard. I mean, and it was audible. And it was so beautiful. It was like, and that's a direct quote from the Course. And I knew what chapter it was in because I've been with the Course so long. And it was just like that confirmation. And then that dollop of light you were talking about.
Yes.
To keep you sober one more day. And sober means a whole lot more than just not drinking. It's the life, the love, the sunshine. Yeah. So I just super grateful. And that's about it.
That was a lot. That's great, honey. And just allow this to become a habit then. Yeah, just.
Yes.
And also, if anytime you need, there's the meeting after the meeting, and just stick around. Mike and other people will be there, and yeah, and just allow that foundation to set. You know what I mean? It's sort of like the cement has been laid. Just keep your hands off of it. Yeah, just yeah, and then you'll react to the soundness of the foundation. You'll respond to it, and your wiring will get corrected. Yes, and you'll start responding. Like, becoming more vulnerable when it's safe to be vulnerable. These type of, responses is sort of like seeing blue as blue and red as red. Yes? Yeah.
Yes.
The wiring's a little off, and then this design for living is almost like an electrical blueprint of the house. Yeah, and it's going to check your wires, so to speak. Yes, and now you'll start having responses that are appropriate to what's happening. Yeah, it's just the way it goes. Yeah, and then there'll be more of that. Yeah. That's, and I mean, this is I always flip out when people talk about the leap of faith. Believing the shit in our head is the leap of faith. In recovery, there's no leap. The faith is based on evidence. It works. You know what I mean? If this is your dilemma, which is an obsession with self, combined with the mental solution, drinking and drug use or whatever, or eating or whatever else it was, sex, then this is for you. Yeah, this will work. And yeah, and then it becomes, oh, there's so much room. This way of life just provides a lot of room. You can be comfortable in a 2x2 closet or out in a big backyard. Yeah, you just you bring the room to the situation you're in.
Beautiful.
Yeah. See, you are spirit. Yeah.
Yes.
You are. There's been an appearance that's been claimed to be me, but that appearance is waning. I'm going to pass away, and that which was before, during, will be after. You know, it's just beautiful, a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the mental state is afraid of dying because it's actually never been alive. Yeah. Another way of it appearing to be alive is its huge fear of death. Yeah. But yeah. Well, it's been great. Thank you for that share, Maggie,
Yeah,
too.
I would like to say one more thing, that I'm here in Oregon. I've moved up here to take care of my mom. She's got stage 4 kidney thing going on. And I'm a hospice aide. That's what the action figure does as a living.
Yeah.
And it's quite beautiful, of course, and bittersweet, but very beautiful. And I'm over there taking care of her during the day. So there's times when, like, you have that service that you're talking about, that I would be at every meeting, and we'll see as it goes along if my stepdad can relieve me when there's a meeting, and I can, put the earbuds in and be at the meeting too, even if I can just listen. It's extraordinarily helpful. And but I just want to say that I am taking care of my mom during the day to give my dad a break.
Yes.
Yeah, just to let you know, this is where my heart is.
Oh, great, honey. Well, we'll hold it dearly. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Maggie. Really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
I think we should end the meeting on that one.
That sounds perfect. Just to let everyone know that, Paul, are you doing a non-duality on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
There'll be a non-duality meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
If I'm doing it, I wouldn't go. Yeah. Please.
Thanks a lot, everybody. We got a really strong crew here. Look at it. It's Christmas Eve, and we're not even with the regular links, and we're still finding ourselves here. This is an important thing, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I really am. I'm going to stop interjecting now, and if you're ready for your goodbye,
David wants to say.
Can I just say one thing? That we'll be at this number next week, Tuesday and Thursday. So just forget that. I'm not going to apologize again because I'm sick of hearing me apologize. But next Tuesday and Thursday, the same number, and I think the link's on at the website as well. So
Then this slap good. Yeah, great.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
thanks. Dave.
We all forgot anyway, so don't worry. You're the only one who keeps remembering.
I don't feel so bad now, Paul. I'm okay.
That's good.
I'm gonna mute him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it away, man.
Hey, I want to just say goodbye to everyone and wish them the best. Kaiser, thanks for all the service. Rob, for never being far. That's always good. Nice to see you, Rob. Marty, as usual, sitting in the state of what's before the inquiry. Paul, pleasure. Always. We'll get back to the shirts soon, in the spring. Mike, as always, thank you for being a friend and all the service and everything. Much appreciated. Kerry, it's been a joy to watch you in the little Petri dish of the Zoom square. Yeah, very nice. Walter, the same. Very happy to know you in a certain way. Yeah, Yeah, I probably would have gotten in a lot of trouble with you in the past, but that's good. Yes. Drew, nice to see you. And whatever I'm looking at, a ceiling or something. Yes. We got Jack G. Jack G is out in the open. Oh, he's down in Florida still. The t-shirt on and shit. Nice to see you, Jack. It's been a pleasure, Jack. When I remember the first time you came in, and your presence hasn't left since. Very nice. Thank you. It's very good. We got Raven. Always a pleasure, and thanks. And also thank everyone for the donations. It really helps. You know, this, and I take it really as an honoring of the message. It's not Paul, you know. Yeah, I put it. You know, I tried never really to make this thing a business. You know, the non-duality, and definitely not the recovery. And yet we opened up for donations, and I've actually been taken care of, you know, for a long time. Yeah. God, yeah, I used to house paint and stuff and then sell Buddhas from Asia. I couldn't take the pollution anymore in Asia or the plane rides. And then I ended up having to become a very special house painter. I could only work 4 feet or below. I could paint baseboards, and that was it, because my legs gave out. So being all powerful, that new employer is taking care of me. It's fantastic. And the joy of it is I know that. All right, so we got Nina, as always. Pleasure to see you, Nina. Yeah. You're one of us. It's a lifetime membership, like it or not. Sharon, always nice to see you, Sharon. We got Chris D. Yes, he's nodding in a very nice manner. We got Michael, the main man from Madeira, but not the matriarch. That's Mika. That's Mickey. We got Gary C., the man who was once in a corner. Yes, like a Dr. Seuss book. We got it says Jackie, but I think it's David yeah. All right. Malcolm, thanks for all the support, Malcolm. Yes, always a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So let's see. We got Maggie from that lovely. Nice to see you, Maggie. Yes. Yeah. Stephen Paris, but from Glasgow. We got another lovely Maggie down here. We got Amy K with a lovely little soon to be earthling, a little alien on her shoulder there. Try to delay that earthling thing as much as possible. Zoe. Zoe is one of the lifetime members of the Zoom. Let's see who else. But that's about all here. So, and then some anonymous folks. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely either time alone or with others. It doesn't matter. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Thanks. I'll see you Saturday and then Tuesday and Thursday as long as something doesn't happen. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
And stop recording, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.